Hi everyone, good evening. So we are back yet again on our 10 weeks of Yuktahar project, and we are in phase 2, as people who are following me on this project know by now. So I'll just give you a brief on what all have we discussed in phase 2. Of course, we discussed so many things as far as phase 1 is concerned. But phase 2 में हमने अभी तक क्या क्या किया है, a brief on that. So we discussed the first day of phase 2. We discussed the dairy part, that in phase 2 what are the different kinds of dairy that you're going to have, and so people can go back on my page, on my profile, on Instagram page, and check the different kinds of dairy that is good for phase 2. In fact, in phase 2 you are going to have all kinds of dairy except milk, and which I mean to say dairy milk, like cow's milk, buffalo's milk. So except milk and paneer. So except milk and paneer, paneer basically, when I say paneer, what I mean is soft cheese. So in cheese what you can have is the hard aged cheese, the artisanal cheese, but a cream soft cheese or paneer and milk, these are the things that we are not going to have for phase 2. And of course phase 3 we are going to reintroduce even the milk and paneer back. So it's not that कि आपको इसको जीवन भर आपको इसको छोड़ना है. It's not like that. Then the second day we discussed all the vegetables that you're going to have in phase 2, and the crux of the matter is that there is no vegetable which you don't want to have in phase 2. In fact, we want to have a variety of vegetables. So you make use of the seasonal table. एक season का table दिया गया है मेरे book में. Book का नाम है Yuktahar, the Belly and Brain Diet. It is available on Amazon, on Flipkart, and all bookstores in India, and outside it's available in Kindle version. So make use of that seasonal vegetable chart and eat the vegetables according to the season, and ensure that you choose at least 2 new vegetables in each season, so that you have at least 6 new vegetables in your diet with every passing year. So this was for vegetables, and of course yesterday we discussed all the kinds of breads that you can have in phase 2. So the sourdough breads, the bhaturas, the naan, kulchas, and what kind of breads you can have if you want to have breads. So all those kind of things is something that we discussed yesterday. And today I'm going to discuss F for few, which means in phase 2, what is the food that you are going to eat few of, which you're not going to favor too much, but at the same time you are not going to eliminate it completely from your diet. And the foods to eat few of in phase 2 that I'm going to discuss today is actually, wine. It's actually alcohol or wine that I'm going to discuss. Okay, I'll just move from the board a bit so that you can just read through it. A lot of, people who have read the book know, and people who are doing the 10 weeks of diet with me, along with me, know that in phase 1 we didn't do alcohol of any kind at all for 2 weeks, right? So 2 weeks of phase 1 doesn't ask you to have any kind of alcohol whatsoever, whether it's wine or beer or a breezer or whatever. Okay, so no alcohol at all in phase 1. But in phase 2, people who really want to drink and who miss that, that some kind of a evening spent with their friends or family and like to enjoy it with a glass of drink, then for them this session becomes useful, because I'm going to talk about the alcohol part today. If you are a teetotaler like me, then please don't bother yourself with wine or any kind of thing in phase 2. You don't have to drink wine just because it is told that it is good in the book. And in fact in the book I have given a disclaimer, Janhit mein jari, that if you don't, if you are a teetotaler, then please don't start in having wine saying that, wine is good for health and I'm going to have wine. No, nothing like that. So this is only for people who really want to drink, because there is Republic Day tomorrow, 26 January hai, and I received few emails because in India people are on an official holiday tomorrow, and they were asking that phase 1 has already passed, so phase 2 hai, so can you just give us a bit on alcohol, because they are planning to do a get together. Of course do it with all the COVID safety protocols, but I thought that then it makes sense that I cover this topic today. So number 1, why don't we have alcohol? Alcohol firstly creates a lot of it kills a lot of your microbes. It creates dysbiosis. Now what is dysbiosis? It's explained in the book. I'll just brief that dysbiosis literally means life in distress. So it means that your microbes, they get into an unfavorable balance where you have more of bad microbes and less of good microbes, and that situation is called dysbiosis. And this of course is not a favorable situation for your mental health, for your physical health, for your emotional health, for how you look, in terms of your body shape or size, for your hair, for your skin, for all sorts of things. So because phase 1 is about cleansing and it's about reducing inflammation, we don't want to do alcohol at all, because alcohol does contribute to gut inflammation as well, right? So we don't want to do that in phase 1 at all. But once we come to phase 2, it's not that ki bhai you can go ahead and drink all what you want. In phase 2, distilled spirits is completely not allowed. And what you can have is fermented beverages, fermented drinks. So no distilled spirits and fermented drinks are allowed, and I'm going to talk about that. Now when I say that alcohol is not good for your gut, it's simply a simple output of this information, of this knowledge, is that whenever you choose your alcoholic drink, you should choose not in terms of calories but in terms of the alcohol that drink has. Because it is alcohol which is the offender when it comes to your health, right? So I meet a lot of people in my office, and a lot of clients I've worked with in the last 2 decades, always, like the ones who drink, of course, not the teetotalers, but the ones who drink, they will always ask me ki, acha, which drink can I have? Is vodka low in calories? Is wine good for heart? So maybe wine. Or beer, is it fine? Because beer is not even daru, right? I mean, beer is fine, beer is chalta hai. So many notions. The thing is that people believe कि alcohol जब हम choose करते हैं, हमें उन्हें calories करके choose करना चाहिए कि भाई they will go on an app, they will search कि कौन से drink का कितना calories है, and accordingly they will choose. But that's such a pathetic way to choose your food and even alcohol, because I have done so many sessions till now telling you that how this formula doesn't work, where you try to find out the calories of certain things. If you really want your microbiome to be healthy, if you want yourself to be healthy, आपको सिर्फ इतना देखना है कि कौन सा ऐसा drink है जिसमें alcohol की मात्रा कम है. The drink which has a lower volume of alcohol in it, because lower the volume of alcohol in it, lower will be the potential damage to your microbes. So you just have to choose a drink which is low in alcohol content, right? So how do you know that? So there is something called VV or ABV. Okay, there is something called VV or ABV. The terms have been explained beautifully in the book. So for more details, please refer to the book. But VV is basically volume per volume, and ABV is alcohol by volume, which essentially means कि अगर so these are always written on the bottle. Bottle के label में होता है. तो bottle में आप सिर्फ flavors और ये सब देखते हैं. But from now onwards, what I want you कि whenever you buy, always check the label and see for the VV or ABV, because it's always written as a percentage. Either of these terms will be used and एक percentage में लिखा जाएगा. और इसका सिंपल मीनिंग क्या है कि मान लीजिए अगर कोई ड्रिंक का VV है 50% लिखा हुआ, it simply means that 100 ml of that alcohol of that drink, वो ड्रिंक का 100 ml में 50% अल्कोहल है. अगर कोई ड्रिंक का बॉटल में लिखा है कि VV 30%, then it simply means कि जब आप वो 100 ml निकालेंगे उस बॉटल से, उस 100 ml में 30 ml अल्कोहलिक कंटेंट है. So this is what it means. So whenever you have a bottle which has a VV and ABV, it becomes easy for you to understand कि ये bottle है, इसके 100 ml में कितना ml alcoholic content है. So it becomes very crystal clear that how much alcoholic content is actually in a drink of 100 ml that you are going to take. Now, why are we saying that distilled spirits is not good right now? At least for now, we are not going to have. Firstly, what are distilled spirits? Let us get into that clarity. Distilled spirits is your gin, vodka, brandy, rum, whiskey. All of these are distilled spirits. People who drink, I am assuming they must be knowing this already. Abhi distilled spirits में क्या होता है? The ABV and ABV, which is basically the alcoholic content, it is greater than 40%. डिस्टिल स्पिरिट्स को डिस्टिल्ड क्यों बोलते हैं? उसको इसलिए बोलते हैं क्योंकि उनको डिस्टिलेशन प्रोसेस से गो थ्रू कराया जाता है. वंस द ब्रूअर्स दे स्टार्ट मेकिंग इट, द लास्ट एंड प्रोसेस इज डिस्टिलेशन, एंड दैट इज व्हाई अ विस्की इज कॉल्ड अ डिस्टिल्ड स्पिरिट, अ वोडका इज कॉल्ड अ डिस्टिल्ड स्पिरिट. एंड ये डिस्टिलेशन क्यों किया जाता है? ये डिस्टिलेशन किया ही इसलिए जाता है सो एज टू इंक्रीज द अल्कोहलिक कंटेंट. So a distilled spirit will always have a huge alcoholic content. It's always like more than 40%. It can go 50, 60 of that sort, and that is not the kind of alcoholic content that at least we need for our gut. We don't need alcohol for our gut for that matter. So let me clear that on record कि alcohol की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है. But I'm speaking right now for people who want to drink, that at least if you want to drink, then you have to stay away from distilled spirits, because we don't want to give that kind of high alcoholic content to our gut microbes, because then it's really like a bad situation for them to deal with it, and everything that you have done till now from phase 1, cleaning up and all of those things, everything goes for a waste. We don't want to do that. So what is the other option that we can do, which is the fermented drinks? Fermentation से बनाया हुआ ड्रिंक क्यों ले सकते हैं हम फेज 2 में फर्मेंटेड ड्रिंक्स को? रीजन बीइंग दैट फर्मेंटेड अल्कोहल्स जो होते हैं, विच इज बेसिकली वाइन, बियर एंड शैम्पेन. सो दिस कैटेगरी इज अबाउट वाइन, बियर एंड शैम्पेन. सो हियर why is it that it is allowed? Because a fermented beverage doesn't undergo the process of distillation, एंड इस वजह से उनका जो अल्कोहलिक कंटेंट है वो बहुत कम होता है कंपेयर टू अ डिस्टिल्ड स्पिरिट. सो द अल्कोहलिक कंटेंट इन अ फर्मेंटेड बेवरेज like this I'm talking, I wanted to restrict my topic, confine my topic only to wine today. Tomorrow I'll talk about beer, but I'm just going to talk about wine. So in fermented beverages there's wine and there's beer, and I'm going to restrict myself, confine myself to only wine today. So for wine, अगर distilled spirit का ABV is greater than 40%, then for wine it is somewhere which is 5.5 to 20.5%, which means it's much lower than a distilled spirit. And that means कि if you just take one glass of wine, it's not going to do that much damage if you compare it to any kind of whiskey, scotch, rum, vodka, etc. Okay. So that's the reason why I say that okay, wine is still fine. The other part of this is again ki, how much wine do you drink? If you are going to drink one glass of wine every day, or if you choose that I am only going to drink tomorrow being a holiday, at least for Indians in India we have holiday tomorrow, so if you think that I'm going to like drink every Sunday or drink every Saturday, or I'm going to drink tomorrow, I'm just going to slam down a bottle of wine completely, then remember that because you're drinking that huge volume of wine, आपने इतना सारा wine पी लिया, आपने 1 लीटर wine पी लिया है, तो obviously the alcohol content उसका कम होते हुए भी you've ingested too much alcohol because of the total volume of wine that you have actually consumed. So then it becomes useless to say that I'm having a wine and it's not going to be that bad for my gut, because then it's almost as equivalent as drinking whiskey or scotch or whatever. So again, when I say that it's fine to have wine in phase 2, it doesn't mean number 1 कि आप teetotaler हैं तो भी आप wine पीना शुरू कर दो. No guys, no. I'm a teetotaler and I'm a teetotaler by choice, and also because of certain principles I follow in life related to spirituality and stuff. It doesn't match with the lifestyle I like to live, so it's a very personal choice. Nothing against people who drink, but again, if you are a teetotaler, you don't have to start drinking wine or any kind of fermented beverage, whether it's a beer or champagne. Number 2, if you do like to drink, then in phase 2 you are not going to have any distilled spirits. You can have wine, as I just explained, or even beer or champagne, but I'm going to cover beer tomorrow, not today. So you can have these fermented drinks, but it has to be in a balanced and sensible way. It cannot be every day. Once a week is more than enough, and it cannot be too many glasses, like completely one bottle you have finished, nothing like that. Just here I've written actually just 1-2 glasses once a week. This is the dose. I hope you can see that, right? So 1 to 2 glasses once a week. This is maximum what you can do, right? And again, when we go by right timings and stuff, honestly, the right timing to enjoy your drinks is again the 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. time. So you can think of it as a nice brunch with your friends and stuff. But night time, रात के 10 बजे, 11 बजे, 12 बजे, you will have your wine and then you will have a big dinner along with it. That is really not the way of doing it. So a nice weekend brunch with just 1 or 2 glasses, and that also once in a week, is completely fine, but that is it. And if you really drink it this sensibly with a balanced state of mind, what is a balanced state of mind firstly? You know, I see, so because I'm a teetotaler and because like when I visit parties, which I actually visit very less, but even though if I have to visit, then when I see people who are drinking, it's very entertaining for me to see them, because when they have really, you know, really drunk like liters of it and they're completely like, got like completely drunk, it's really amusing because, you know, if you think sensibly, they have no control over anything, what they talk, how they walk, nothing. So, you know, it reminds me to this line, one of my Vedanta teachers had actually told me that it's fine even if people drink alcohol, but at the end of everything, you need to understand, you know, whether it's alcohol or whether it's social media or whether it's anything which is addictive, you know, where people actually, get addicted to, is that you always have to question yourself, step back and analyze and question yourself that am I consuming this or this thing is consuming me? So I'll restrict myself to the topic of alcohol today. So what he meant was that you need to think that am I consuming this alcohol or is this alcohol consumed me? So always be the boss, you know, be the boss. My Vedanta teacher always says that you got to be the boss in your own life. You need to tell your mind that, you know, I am the boss, you are not the boss. And that is how, you know, you can have a very good control over what you do, what decisions you make. Even if you think of social media, I'm going a little off topic, but even with social media, there's so much of debates. Is it good? Is it bad? This and that. But it's just comes down to this basic line. If you are getting addicted, you don't have a sense of discipline over it, you don't know how to use it, you don't know how to use it wisely, you're just wasting your time on it, then again, you just need to ask yourself, am I consuming it? Am I being a consumer of social media, or is social media consuming me? So, you have to draw a line somewhere. And when I say that it is fine that, you can drink wine in phase 2, please don't disappoint me by going all drunk and entertaining teetotalers like me in that party. Don't do that. Everything is fine till the time you have a control over it. Trust me, everything is fine. So, here when I say you will have just 1 to 2 glasses of wine, we are restricting our topic only to wine, so 1 to 2 glasses once every week, and you are going to, yes, what is also important is that you are going to choose a wine which is less than 12%. So although wine is available in the market in this range, which is 5.5 to 20.5, we don't want to go beyond 12% of alcohol range. If you're choosing your wine. So when you ask for wine, you may ask about all the different kinds of brands and tastes, and I don't know how people, wine drinkers, they have so many parameters of choosing their wine, which sounds very exotic. But then what I also want you to add one more parameter is that it should be less than 12%. Less than 12% of ABV, less than 12% of VV is what I want you to choose, and that's pretty much clear on the label. So read the label. If you cannot read, you're asking for wine by the glass in a restaurant or whatever, ask the guy who's the server. He's going to help you. People show the bottles before they serve, so just asking for a low alcohol wine. Technically, that's what the word servers use. It's called a low alcohol wine. And there are many flavors and all those things available in low alcohol wine these days. So trust me, you will be spoiled for choices. So this is what you're going to do. The second part is about red wine and white wine. तो कौन सा अच्छा है, red wine पिए या white wine पिए? आप दोनों में से जो आपको पसंद है आप पी सकते हैं. But if I go technical, then what happens is the wine has something called polyphenols. Polyphenols क्या है? Basically wine grapes से बनता है. Wine is made from grapes, And grapes has this thing called polyphenols, because of which, since many years you must have heard that wine is great for the heart, wine is, you know, great for many things. All that research has been actually based on this fact that grapes have polyphenols. So when you make wine, those polyphenol benefits come to the wine, and these polyphenols actually, they are like food for the microbes in your gut. So they actually act as prebiotics. So wine in that sense is definitely beneficial. But when I said you have to make a balance, you cannot go high on the alcohol content when you choose wine, and you also cannot do too much of it, because then ultimately the alcohol content in your stomach that becomes high. So you have to weigh the pros and cons. But yes, the polyphenol which is there in the wine, which they get from the grapes, has a prebiotic benefit. Prebiotic ka matlab hai, it is food for the microbes, and therefore wine is has a lot of these beneficial properties because it's good for the microbes in your gut if you drink in this manner which I've explained. Okay, so there's an if which we don't want to forget. Okay, now what happens is, because the red wine has more darker grapes which is used, that's why it has a deeper darker color. So because in red wine you have more polyphenolic pigments, these darker pigments of grapes which are used, goes without saying that the red wine will have more polyphenols and more prebiotic benefits, and therefore red wine has a higher has a slightly higher edge. It has a slightly more benefit compared to white wine. So if you do like both, agar you one of those who likes to have both red wine and white wine, then I would say go for the red wine then. But if you're someone who really likes to only have white wine, then don't bother about the slight difference. You can still have white wine, because any which ways you're just having it once a week and restricting to only 1 to 2 classes, so you can just have what you like. So tomorrow we are going to talk about beer, because one of the fermented beverage is beer. So which is again something that you can have in phase 2, but again in a very balanced, sensible way, not in a way where the beer is consuming you, but we want that you are consuming the beer. So with that note, I will end the session for today and I'll open for questions.
Is tofu and unprocessed soy products allowed in phase 2?
Yes, phase 2 you can have tofu. See to it that's a good quality and there is no processing done, but yes, you can have tofu.
Should sourdough bread be consumed for breakfast or for lunch? Can we also use cold-pressed sunflower oil, or should we only use seed-based cold-pressed oils?
Okay, I'll take this other part of the question later. First, I'll address the bread part. So the bread can be had for breakfast or lunch, depends on 2 things. What are you doing with the bread? Are you just having the bread like that? Then it will not be wholesome enough for lunch. But if you are putting, say, a slice of egg, you are putting white butter, you're putting cheese, olives, jalapenos, vegetables, basically making a nice wholesome thing out of that bread, then of course you can have it for lunch. The other thing depends on your hunger. See, the whole idea of keeping a breakfast light is just that you feel hearty, you feel hungry enough for a hearty lunch, and that too early. Like that lunch ka thing should start from 11, so that you can at least have lunch by 11:30, maximum 12. 1 p.m. is like the last thing that I have said. So if you feel, if aapko agar aisa lagta hai ki I have had a nice big sandwich for breakfast, it's very difficult to feel hungry enough for lunch at the right time. Ya to you will feel hungry quite later for lunch, which we don't want. Or otherwise what will happen is that even if you feel hungry by 11:30, 12, it will be a very small hunger and you will not feel like eating a nice hearty lunch, which again we don't want. So for these reasons, I try not to give a lot of these breads and all these stuff for breakfast, because I feel that they either work beautifully for lunch if you really make a nice big wholesome sandwich or whatever you want out of it, or if it's a very not a very huge preparation that you want to do, then I will say then still keep it for the evening snack, like 3-4 p.m. That will still be better. Let's keep breakfast as a nice warm porridge, kanji, khichdi, smoothies, those kind of things, so that your lunch doesn't get compromised. What was the second question about the oil?
Can we also use cold-pressed sunflower oil, or should we only use seed-based cold-pressed oil?
Yeah, use only seed-based cold-pressed oil, yes. I'm not a fan of sunflower or any other flour oil. Use seed-based oil.
Can we have good in phase 1?
Yes. So again, I'll just repeat myself. Phase 1, so this is the book. And when you go on phase 1 chapter wise, chapter 5 is phase 1, chapter 6 is phase 2, chapter 7 is phase 3. So when you go to phase 1, basically chapter 5, then towards the end, when I finish the chapter, I have given a table where it's written in summary, what is the food to forget, what is the food to eat few, what is the food to favor. Basically the 3 F's is given in a table. And why I have given that in a table is so that whenever you want to recheck, whenever you want to confirm, you can just go back to the book and check that table. Now, whenever you're confused, should I be able to eat jaggery? Am I able to eat that in phase 1, in phase 2, things like that? Then a very simple solution for it is that just check the forget list. Because forget list में अगर गुड़ नहीं है, that means you can have, right? अगर forget list में avocado नहीं है, that means you can have avocado. Because I received one of the questions yesterday, that is avocado allowed? So is good allowed? Now it's impossible for me to write what all is allowed in a table. The way I made the book, I structured the book in a way that I just put the things that you really need to forget in a list, so that outside this list, if there is any food, it simply means that you can have. Okay, now avocado is not in the favor list, jaggery is not in the favor list, I agree. But what it simply means is that you don't have to really go on favoring it, which means that you don't overdo or eat every day or whatever like that. You don't have to ensure that it's there in my diet. Favor means something that you really favor, right? But it's at the same time not in the forget list as well, which means that you can have it if you want, but it's not something that I'm asking you to favor. So, that is the way you will, read the book and read the table which is there in phase 1 and phase 2, so you can understand the 3 F's. So, thank you very much. Have a great holiday and a great Republic Day for all of us, people in India at least, and to all the Indians actually all over the world. And I am going to still meet you tomorrow. So, it's not a holiday from our 10 weeks of Yuktahar project. So, I'm still going to meet you tomorrow, same time, same place. Because a promise is a promise, and I am going to stick to my promise. So thank you very much.